So this is November 8th, 2017, and this is Wednesday evening, and we're going to dig into the Word tonight, and let's see if we can't finish Sunday night's Word, which I guess nothing surprises me, but we'll just take a few extra steps to make sure that we don't have any further hiccups moving down the road. It was interesting. Since we're family here, we're just talking, it was interesting. I went online to the service that we've been using up until today that would both send out emails and the text messaging. And, we've had some problems for the last 4 weeks, people not getting stuff, and just didn't register that, there were some issues going on with the service until I looked and realized that it was randomly deleting emails and phone numbers. So I went into this evening and I thought, I needed to get a number. I was going to text everyone directly. And I hop on there and would you know, it deleted everything. I went in there, my lists, they're all gone. I thought, well, that's classic. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know that this company is based over in Europe. I'm not sure if it's Romania or where it is, but it's definitely not U.S., and Ann and I were just talking the other day about the hostility in the realm of spirit that's, ramping up in its focus against the sons. And, here again, this is not our focus. The Lord's our focus, and the breakthroughs that are coming are our focus. But nevertheless, we don't stick our head in the ground with our butt in the air and just figure, it's all going to go away without a little assistance. And so that's what we're adding to the equation here, is just a little assistance. But it was interesting because I recall, I'm not sure if it was last summer or earlier, one of these unusual experiences, and I'm only going to mention it because something is coming, and I want it to grip us. I really want it to snag us because something is coming, and the glimpses are happening, things are happening for different ones, and I love some of the the reports, or just what's happening, and it's just one of those things. I can't put my finger on it. I can't really open up a verse or a scripture necessarily, but it's just a sense. Something is right around the door. And of course you could say, well, of course, Edward, we're contending for resurrection life and, so many things that of course something is right around the corner. But sometimes that corner can get kind of long. And I'm talking about a short corner here, not a long corner. And it's something. And I'm just going to kind of throw this out, but there's something happening in the realm of our spirit that we're not really aware of that much yet. But something it's like a hook being thrown out, and it's snagged in the depth of your heart, your spirit, and you're being pulled. And it may be hard to sense that that's what's happening to you because you're in the midst of swatting the flies and killing the alligators and trying to drain the swamp, like we've said before. And it just seems the more alligators you knock off, the more just keep dropping in on you. And So there's all of these dynamics going on. Everyone in their lives, things can get very busy, can seemingly get a little bit out of control until you think that that's what you're doing. But it's not what we're doing. All of the things that surround us is not what we're doing. But there's something that is coming in the realm of experience. And I know it, and I'm constrained. It was like Paul, he was constrained to enter into it, or was it the Lord? I'm trying, one and the same, but there's something happening that we're groaning to get into and to get out of this level that we are in right now. This level that we're in seems to be fraught with a lot of warfare, a lot of witchcraft, a lot of you name it. And I know that in a way or in a fashion, it's serving one purpose, to draw us up higher. And the Lord has a way of doing that, puts you in a pressure cooker at times, and you really want to move up higher, but there's that soul side of you that maybe is just, it's just kind of dragging, or you're just caught in the web of a lot of things, and it's not as easy as you would like. So the Lord just kind of turns the fire up and puts the pressure on, and it just kind of pushes you up. But I remember months ago, as I was waiting before the Lord, I saw a window open up in front of me. And so I looked out the window, and I could see mountains and valleys and terrain. There was some old architecture in the foreground, and the longer I tuned into it, it was literally like standing in front of a window and looking through a window, except it was kind of like a tunnel. And even though it seemed like it was right there in front of you, you knew you were looking through a tunnel. And I realized it was some of the ancient countries in Europe. I think Romania was the one. And as I continued watching in the vision, some of the most powerful high priestesses and all of that live in that region of the world, and they appeared right in the window, and they saw me very clearly, and they were getting ready to send some major transference, and then the window closed, and the access was shut down. But it was something of a glimpse that came, and it wasn't so much, who or what they were, as much as it was understanding that the scope of our reality is getting constantly redefined. And we don't even know how to say what is possible and what is not, because a lot of the things that are going to come to us aren't even in our present scope of understanding. And so, we can get bogged down with our events, our life, issues, and just seem like nothing is going to change. And yet, the promise is in an instant, in a moment. It can change just like that. And we've seen little breakthroughs that exemplify that. And so, it can be challenging because the mind is still in this process of regeneration. So you're wrestling with a certain level of consciousness that has been anchored to the natural plane. And that God is pulling us into, as we've said, a world of spirit. And it's like there's just two things he keeps saying. Am I enough for you? And can you drink the cup? Anyway, I think we live with that. Always live with that. That, and I think we've pretty much made that commitment. Lord, whatever it is, I will drink the cup. And yes, you are enough for me, Lord. I don't need anything. And yet the word says, well, he's going to give you, if you seek first the kingdom, all of these things are going to be added to you. But the truth is, when you come to that place where it's only the kingdom you desire, nothing else means anything to you. He can give you whatever, some cars, houses, money, whatever. But we don't need that. Relationships, we don't need that. We just need Him, and the travail of our spirit is to get through this transition. Because we're passing through this level, and our perception is still in the process of opening up. And it can be challenging to get caught, where you're just focused on the passing scene because of issues you have to deal with. I mean, unfortunately, we all just can't go and up to the mountain and hibernate and, just walk away from everything. We still have to be here in this plane, moving through what has to be done. In fact, that was a comment I made to Ann the other day. I said, concerning what has been given to us on a natural plane, I said, why are we doing this? Why? And I kept thinking about Daniel. And I don't know entirely, I don't really understand Daniel's preparation prior to being brought into really the ruler of the kingdom. But God had done something in Daniel to prepare him for what he was going to bring him into. And we're being prepared to rule the nations. We don't understand what that is. We're being prepared to really shepherd the universe. And we can, we've walked in a measure of it, we've seen it, we've tasted of it, we know it's real, we know it's coming, but we don't really know what that experience is going to be until we really fully enter into it. And so, oftentimes, all you can do is look back at what you're traversing through right now and just understand that it's part of your training. Even on the natural plane, stuff that we're going through, I don't think God is wasting the time of His sons. He's not just filling space until you hit a point where you're going to break through to resurrection life. There is nothing about the lives of His sons that are just, that have no reason, rhyme, or meaning, that are just kind of meant to be a stopgap filler until the real thing happens. That's not the case. And so everything that each of us are going through is a preparation to move into the full manifestation of authority and ruling in Christ. So it's hard to understand, from this present perspective, the dynamics of everything that He is causing each of His sons to uniquely go through, and what it's doing to create them and to prepare them for what he has. And I know that for each one, it's going to be very unique, even though there's a lot of overlapping. So, anyway, I just, the thing, I'll go ahead and finish what we were talking about Sunday evening. And I know that we definitely have stepped up our offensive in what God is beginning to lead us to do, even if it's baby steps. I know that we've hit that threshold where it is the time for the rod of iron to begin to function. And no one having been this way, there's no one that you can call up and say, okay, how is this going to happen and how is it going to manifest? And it seems like we're taking baby steps, and yet we're not. And I know that the reaction of the spirit realm is progressively in correlation. It's progressively ramping up to, or responding to, or reacting to our stance before God to begin to really move and exercise that authority as He is directing us. So, it's all very, very interesting, and it's still unfolding. But the real point of what we're talking about tonight, and here again, we're just rambling. The real point is that there's something coming. And I know that a number of you have commented to me and emailed me and are sensing that, but there's something coming. And it's right here. And it has to do with a whole change within our mind that opens up and you begin to see. And that's something that, we've been concerned about, is this realm that we're walking is a realm of revelation, but there's so much illusion and deception that, you have to be very careful, what you anchor on. And I know that we're still in the process of getting our eyes open. And that is the challenge, because what we're dealing with now, more than ever, are truly the hidden things. And the only way a hidden thing becomes visible is that God reveals it to you directly. I couldn't tell you, or Anne, it has to be revealed directly to you, and you see it, and the illumination comes on within you. And then you realize the answer or the solution or the area of vulnerability that has existed that you were not able to see. But it's interesting because we haven't been this way, and just kind of looking at how things are evolving, I've never seen the realm of spirit so it's just such a fine thread between breaking open and having sight and understanding, or still being in a daze or a fog and not being able to connect with what is really happening within you, and where it is that the change needs to happen specifically. But one thing about it, we cannot discipline ourselves into change. Change comes by exposure, and exposure to the Lord. And, a lot of people have asked, what's an answer here? What do we do here or there? And the only thing I can say is we have to just keep waiting before Him and know that it's going to come together. And that's what I see right here at the edge of the horizon, something really significant, and it really just has to do with our internal dynamics. I don't even know that it's some major experience as it is the light coming on and really beginning to see and understand what you weren't able to see, and in not seeing, you were unable to deal with. So we're definitely coming into the realm of light, but there's another jump forward that we're facing here right at this point. So anyway, that's probably enough said. I've kind of beat around the bush on that. The other thing, just to kind of complete what was being said Sunday evening, we were talking about just what is happening in the earth as far as the influx of darkness and deception, which has been going on for many, many generations. And, if you were to go back and look at segments of time, 1 decade, 2 decade segments, you could see the progressive unfolding of violence in the earth and darkness and tendency towards evil and, all of that. You can see it progressively since the early 50s, getting greater and greater and greater. And it hasn't just been happenstance. It's been in direct relationship to what is coming into the earth plane. And I think it's Revelations 12, if I'm mistaken, forgive me, but where the woman is, the man-child's caught up and the woman, runs off to the wilderness, and the dragon follows her. And out of the mouth of the dragon spews forth water or whatever it is. And it's kind of an analogy, but basically it's the lies and the darkness and deception that's been flowing into the earth, and it's been getting greater and greater. And so sometime back we saw on a practical level exactly what was happening. And it had to do with the whole realm of communication, and that we're dealing with some sort of base level of creation on the satanic side that exists that actually controls the flow of communication in the earth. And as we watched the vision, it was interesting because whatever was coming out in the flow of communication or words, ideas, whatever, would go through a filter, just like a water filter. And as it came through that filter, a satanic edge or a satanic input was given to that. And so then the communication would continue on its way. And you could say, well, how is that being done? It's just a frequency or a vibration. As we speak, if we were to look and see our words, on one level you can see the word. It flows forth. It has a substance to it, and you can see that. But on another level, it's composed strictly of vibration and energy. And so with the satanic input, it's like altering the DNA of people to where they become, more satanically oriented, which has happened, but not really made known per se. So what happens is we've seen this satanic input that's come, and it affected the frequency and the vibration of communication in the whole world. And so now what is happening is just this influx of darkness by virtue of how this filtering thing works, which, I can't even really say. I only know what I saw. But at this point in time, I feel like the gloves are being taken off. And as the Lord begins to reveal things, then we will begin to move and act upon them. And I think up till now, a lot of things have been put on the shelf because they weren't complete, nor were we ready, to move forward. But, there is that element of the push and shove that happens, because as the sons move into this realm of the rod of iron, there is that pushback that is happening, and until it doesn't seem, but it actually is, that you are living both in two realms at the same time, and you're living in His presence, but you're also living in warfare 24/7. So, it's I don't know how else to explain it. You're in the battle, your spirit is in the battle, you're executing the Father's will, and the word is beginning to be delivered with an authority that wasn't there, and a perception that had been withheld until this time. But now as the word goes forth, it really hits pay dirt. I mean, it hits pay dirt big time. And so at this first phase of it, there's that pushback that comes, and you feel the wave that just comes back to just counter that, just reject it. And that's where you stand and you just enforce it. And, it's interesting, there's only one thing that we've been given, whether it's for the offense or the defense, and it's the word. There's nothing else that we have. We can't go get a .22 and go shoot something. Not that we wouldn't want to, or anything else. The only offense, defense we have in this warfare is the word. And surprisingly, that is something that we can forget at times. You're in the midst and you try and work it out, and you're at wit's ends, and then all of a sudden it just comes to you and you realize the answer is, I just have to speak the word. And you speak it. And you say, well, it didn't break. It doesn't matter. You keep speaking the word, it will break. And the more you move in that, the more quickly it's going to happen. So it's something that we can't lose sight of, because moving forward from this point, we cannot afford to not be in a mode of speaking the word and of exercising the authority. Because, and here again, I'm just watching this firsthand, there's nothing that we are doing that is really going to work unless we are very specific in utilizing the authority. If we just think we're going to be good people and work something out and just kind of, do the do and everything's going to be great, we have a surprise coming, because it's not. And it's been, I think, by design in the training of the sons, that the only way we're going to move forward is we stand and we speak the word, we exercise authority to the minutest thing. Whether it's, problems that you're having, with family or children or finances or anything. The only answer is you speak the word, and you break the lie, you break the deception, and you take authority. And that's what we are being pushed into big time. And Ann and I have seen this for a number of years, and we've gone in and out of it since the teaching began to come to us, which was 7-8 years ago. And as much as we had seen back then, it amazes me how much we forgot and would continue to forget. And the Lord would say, that's not, you're not going to resolve it that way. Speak the word. And I would say, oh my gosh, and you think, well, you wouldn't forget to do that, but it just happens. And now this is the only way we can move. When you get up in the morning, you're speaking the word. You're creating the day. You're taking dominion over everything before you. As the day ends, you're moving with authority. You're breaking the contacts, and you're commanding. That which has been hidden must now be exposed to the light. And that is one thing that we're really believing for. There's been so much that's been hidden, and it has to be exposed. And concerning the way the enemy has fought against the sons individually, and the way that bonds and all of these backdoor things that have continued to persist and have created channels that the enemy could come in and just assault, all of that has to come to an end. And it comes to an end because it's made known. And it's become visible. And so to me, that is what we do. I stand and I might look at the wall and say, okay, I can't see a thing, but you know what? I know there's something here. I'm not necessarily talking about a spirit, but we just stand and say, okay, I command that which has been hidden to be exposed now. That which has been working behind closed doors, you must be exposed. That which has been coming in that has had access to me, that must end. And of course, that's a promise in Isaiah. You know, it says, I think it's Isaiah 58, but anyway, it says, wake up, wake up. You know, so the whole thing is wake up, and you'll hit a certain point of being woken up where all of a sudden those things that were hidden become revealed. And then the promise is that the unclean thing will no longer have access to you. And we don't even know at this point how much the input of Satan has still continued to be hidden within the lives of his sons, and or how much that has hindered the ability to really get a clear perception and revelation of what God is doing and really be able to change. But at this point, that's one thing I'm contending for. Every day I'm going to beat those arrows. You know, I command that which has been hidden to be exposed. And we may be shocked as you walk, and it'd be like walking into a house, and all of a sudden, manifesting before your eyes, you know, just spirit after spirit after spirit in room after room after room, whatever that might signify, all of a sudden, it's been hidden, and now it's revealed. And the minute it's revealed, it comes into judgment. Technically, you don't even have to speak judgment. The revealing of it brings judgment to it. But we might just add a little extra element. Go grab the local crowbar and just say, okay, I'm going to enforce this. But I tell you, that is my demand, because I see it right now on so many people and myself that as far as we've come, you know that there's still a veil over your eyes. There's still cobwebs over your eyes. And it's time for it to be removed. And it's time for that which has been hidden to be exposed. Because the promise, you know, when Satan comes, he finds nothing in me. Well, it's time for that. That's not a promise that's to be fulfilled in 5 years or 2 years or 6 months. That's a promise for now. And to that event, or to that effect, everything has to be exposed that has been hidden. And that's my demand. Because you might say, well, I can't quite seem to break this. I can't quite seem to manifest the authority over this or this or this, because there's been elements that have been hidden. And so I say, that's over. Everything concerning the sons, it's time to be revealed. That which has been going on behind closed doors, it's time to be revealed. That which has been hidden, it's time for it to be revealed. And that's on so many planes. What's going on right now in the world is going to get even more chaotic. But to the sons, it's all going to be it's going to be very clear, very revealed, to where you fully understand the scope of what's happening and what the sons need to do accordingly. So that just kind of concludes what we were talking about Sunday evening as far as the influx into the realm of earth. And the promise has always been that the word out of your mouth is going to be the very force that turns the tide in the earth, that brings us to a point where the downward flow stops. Right now, we're still dealing with a downward flow. The tendency in culture, society, and the governments and world is a downward flow. But the promise, and I think it's in Zechariah, I'm not sure, but the promise is that the flow will be turned upward. And that is only going to happen because the word that you're speaking and I'm speaking begins to be the force that stops the locomotive and stops it dead in its tracks and reverses it. And this is the day of reversal. We have entered into the day of reversal. Everything that Satan has put into play that's going on, that they think they're just running down the road with, it doesn't matter because they're going to hit a brick wall now. And that brick wall is the sons who stand, speak the word. In its time, everything is reversed. Everything is reversed concerning the sons and concerning that which has been flowing into the earth. So if you're wondering why things are so intense, this is why they're intense. Because God's sons are making a stand, and they're beginning to speak the word. But it's different than when you spoke the word or prophesied a year ago, 5 years ago, with a group that were meeting, on a Sunday or whatever. This is entirely different. This is a word that is being restored in the sons, and now it's being spoken. And that locomotive is coming to a stop. And we're turning it all around. So I think that's about all we want to talk about tonight. I didn't really have a specific agenda, just a burden, because we've been in the battle so much lately. I want to make sure we understand what we're doing and what the stakes are and why this is the case. But more than anything else, the two things that I really wanted to hit tonight was, one, that which has been hidden is now going to become exposed. So look for it. Answers you don't seem to have, look for it because it's been hidden. And the other element is just in concert with that there's something on the periphery that's coming our way. And in some ways, it's almost like Elijah when he saw the cloud the size of a man's hand. That's all. It was just the size of a man's hand. That's all he needed. Just a glimpse. And he knew it was going to be a mighty thunder shower. And he girded his loins up to outrun it. You remember the story. Well, all we need is the cloud of the size of a man's hand. And we have that. I see that. It's right here. And that's all I need to know that something big is coming. And things are going to open up. And exactly how that will be remains to be seen. But that's what I'm expecting. And that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, Ann and I send our blessings to all of you. And just know that you're in the will of God. You're His handiwork, and He loves. How's the scripture go? Precious in the sight. Precious in the sight of God is the death of His holy ones. I think I'm paraphrasing it. So Ann says, I think I got it. But in any case, we're precious to Him. I would love for that to shower upon us, because more often than not we feel anything but precious to Him when you're in the midst of so much. But we are the apple of His eye, and we are precious to the Father and the Son. And may that break upon us as well. And Lord, we say, you are enough. You are enough. So with that, we'll go ahead and close down, and we'll have another call this weekend, I'm sure. I look forward to them, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, we'll go ahead and sign off here.